Good evening and welcome to the millions of you who've tuned in purely because you saw this in the news of the world. Angus Deaton has landed Madonna as a guest on his hilarious quiz show. Yes, that's right, welcome to the show that exclusively brings you newspaper clippings that aren't true.
What was that bit at the bottom there that you didn't highlight? They became pals when she recorded a video, His Holiness and Not
She came around to record Match of the Day on the video.
You're a TV smoothie, isn't that one of those drinks made out of fresh fruit?
Transvestite smoothie, I think it is. Yeah. Which is obviously what you're into tonight.
So, are you
In the news this week, in Budapest, the world's leading experts on the paranormal once and for all dismissed the existence of poltergeist. At a religious convention, there's evidence that the old joke about the two nuns in the bath is trotted out once too often. And for the first time in its history, the Viagra Man of the Year competition is a dead heat. On Ian Hislop's team is a performer who's made a career out of playing a balding, grumpy old man befuddled by the modern world, and next to him is Richard Wilson. And with Paul Merton tonight is a political journalist who spent most of his career on ITV, so forgive him if he wanders off for a break halfway through the show. Michael Brunson. Round one is where our guests' in-depth knowledge of current affairs is shown, wanting. Ian and Richard.
Oh, there's Magdalen College, my alma mater.
Ah.
There's Laura Spencer's, that girl who didn't get in.
It's all about elitism and Oxford entries.
No, it isn't. It's all about Brown making an idiot of himself. I mean, Brown made this amazing sort of posturing speech at a TUC conference to try and prove to everyone that he's old Labour, really. And he just got his facts all wrong. He said she'd got the best A-levels you could get, which is interesting, because she hasn't taken them yet. 0 out of 10. He wouldn't have got in anywhere on that speech.
Well, yeah, but people don't make speeches to get into university.
I gathered that. That was, a point.
Are we signing for the death? What's...
Because of this elitism, Gordon Brown feels that posh people have got an advantage. So, entrance into Oxford now is going to be a game of darts. 501. 501 and double finishes.
Yeah. But see, you went to Oxford as well, didn't you, Angus?
Yes, I did.
And
yes.
Michael went to Oxford.
I went to Oxford, yeah. Yes. Did you see the picture today of the latest girl at Oxford? She's got every part of her body pierced.
Has she?
Yes, and she's the new face of Oxford.
Including her duodenum?
Which university did you go to, Paul?
Unfortunately, I didn't go to
Neither did I.
No.
University of Life.
Yes.
Yes.
But I got kicked out of that.
Yes, and of course you were at Oxford a while ago, weren't you, Michael? Is that right?
Not that. Well, I suppose, yes, having retired. Yes, a long, long time ago. Yes, yeah.
And were you at college with anyone famous that we should know?
I read theology. And my tutor was David Jenkins, who later became the somewhat controversial Bishop of Durham. So I quickly realised you could read theology without believing in God.
And you were at Magdalen with Haig, is that right?
Yes, I was. Is that incriminating? No, he was the year below me. I didn't know him very well.
Right. Which we don't
I was also there with Darius Guppy.
Oh. I was there with Esther Ranson.
That's much worse.
I was at school with Raymond O'Neill. Exactly.
What, the Raymond O'Neill?
No, the other one.
Oh, right. Yes, this is the alleged elitism at Oxford University after comprehensive pupil Laura Spence was refused a place. Oxford and Cambridge universities claim that 50% of the people there have attended state school, although they had to recalculate their figures when they were told that cleaners and kitchen staff don't count. Paul and Michael?
Ah, well, now these look like patients Waiter, yes, they are. Waiting approximately only 3 hours.
But they don't tell you when the 3 hours starts.
No. And that's the questionnaire. Some genius decided that Mr. Milburn wanted some consultation. That's Alan Milburn, the Health Secretary. And they devised this scheme whereby the questionnaire, if you sent it in, actually arrived after the date for the final ending of consultations. And it could only take, couldn't it, a really high-powered civil servant to come up with a little wheeze like that.
And what was the census called that the questionnaires were part of?
A waste of time.
Have your say on a better NHS. Was
really?
Catchy title.
I thought you were supposed to be unbiased as a political
Not now. Not now. It's glorious.
You know, I
I
always suspected you went to the right, Michael.
Yeah, to the right. Yes.
I always felt you leaned the wrong way.
Oh, there we are. There's one of the joys of having left, that I can now be as grumpy and as bad-tempered as you always were on the screen.
And what were people asked to do on the forms?
Give a sample.
First,
they were asked to name their top 3 priorities for the NHS reform.
Make me better might help.
Yes. And they came up with 1 or 2 solutions to cut the waiting lists.
Make people stand on each other's shoulders. The queues will get shorter, if not taller.
are they going to have these places where they operate 24 hours a day? And their surgeons are going to sleep on the job. Not on the job, in the hospital.
Right. But you had some medical training.
I did. I used to have to ask people to take a dish and go and give me a sample of your semen, for example.
Was this just a little hobby of yours, or was there something?
No, that was my work, Angus.
Right. Sorry.
I had to do sperm counts.
Lovely.
Fertility tests.
I understand.
I think what was more difficult was when you said, "Could I have a specimen of your stool, please?" And they looked at you as though you were crazy. So I said, "Well, feces." Nothing. You just go and crap in that.
It's when they want your stool and your sperm at the same time.
This is where I say anyway. To elicit the views of patients, 12 million questionnaires have been distributed at health centres around the country, including opticians, where customers wrote that they wanted cheaper eye care on the table next to the form. Ian and Richard, your executive decision?
Stormont. Mr. Trimble.
Martin McGuinness, the Secretary for Education.
Having a bit of a laugh about something.
Yes, Peter.
Peter. Lovely writing, isn't it?
Lovely.
Is he a minister in the Northern Ireland government?
Gaddafi, who supplied arms, presumably.
And money.
And money. And lots of it.
Yes. The story was that he'd given money to the IRA who had not spent it, but they'd invested it and made a fortune on the market. You see, they're going legit.
What technique did he use to hand over the money? They swapped briefcases at airports.
Really? How exciting.
It's very hazardous meeting Colonel Gaddafi, apparently. My old friend John Simpson from the BBC said that if you go and interview him, he constantly breaks wind. Throughout.
Why does the BBC still keep using John Simpson now?
Did you never get to meet Colonel Gaddafi? Then?
Never. I never got into the tent. No.
You wouldn't see any Western journalists after that. In fact, he wasn't living in a tent until he saw John Simpson. Get those bloody flats open.
Yes, this is the reconvening of the Irish Assembly and the news that Colonel Gaddafi funded the IRA to the tune of £6.7 million. As part of an investment scheme, the IRA has bought into hotels and pubs and also now owns a fly fishing resort. Etiquette requires that all anglers telephone in advance, giving the fish 3 minutes to get out of the river. And finally, Paul and Michael, let battle commence.
Oh, well, this is some sort of... maybe people are smiling, and this is obviously a mock sort of...
Is this Euro 2000?
Must be.
Having a little mini riot, a practice riot? Somewhere
Yes.
in Belgium or Holland? And
Yes, there were Belgian policemen.
Belgian policemen, yes.
There was a point to this rioting.
Yes.
Was there?
Don't just say yes like that.
Why not?
Well, there needs to be an answer to...
Obviously, the way to win
Right
this game is to
question.
get the answers from the chairman, is that right?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
He doesn't know either.
who knows what's going on? This is part of the Oxford elite. At least Ian's qualified to actually answer questions. Angus has asks them. He doesn't even get to answer them. He might be really thick, we don't know. We've no idea. After 10 years, we just do not know whether Angus is thick or not.
No, that's how you
Let's
do
put
it.
it to the audience. All those people who think Angus is thick, put your hands up. Overwhelming majority of people think you're thick. You misunderstood the question.
So I'll phrase it in a question then, Paul. What
Got
was
him.
the point of the rioting?
Well, it was so that the Belgian police could be trained in near riot conditions.
Sort of, yes. They were testing out new equipment, in fact.
Yes.
Yes. And also their horses, in fact, are even going to wear glass eye shields and rubber vests.
Belgium are the hosts of Euro 2000.
No, it's been held in Spain, but they can't be too careful.
So when are they expecting the big trouble to occur?
During the tournament. England, Germany.
England, Germany is the big one, yes. They fear. And the
Well, there's
Germans...
a history of violence between the two nations. I don't know if they taught you that at Oxford. Were you too busy sitting at the back scratching your mortarboard?
Do you feel a bit sore about all this discussion, Richard? Because obviously Scotland were knocked out by England in the...
I tried to put a brave face on it. I do feel, I'm pretty bloody pissed off by it. I think the questions are far too long if you don't have the sense. England is England.
I like to see Scotland there. It's a shame you're not there.
Still, tough shit. This is the build-up to Euro 2000 on and off the pitch. According to The Sun this week, Kevin Keegan has a new 6-year contract waiting for him after Euro 2000, but to clinch it, he must ensure the team are there at the final. Well, with his contacts, he should be able to swing some tickets. A friendly international took place between Hong Kong and Macau this week, and so for an extra point, what happened next?
Oh, yes. I know this. The referee punches him. Punches the player. He goes, oh, it's gone. I know I'm right. It was in Thailand.
OK, well, you say the referee strikes back. Let's have a look. All of which striking inadequacies mean at the end of this quarter it's Paul and Michael who are slightly off target, trailing as they are 5-4. So we leave the world of news coverage as we turn our attention to tabloid journalism. And so we leave the world of news coverage as we turn our attention to tabloid journalism. 2 examples of their literary acumen.
And they let you into Oxford.
Take 14.
Yeah.
And so we leave
the world of news coverage. One for each team. Michael and Paul, here's your look at the tabloids. Oh, we don't know what it is. Ian and... No, I'm sorry, and that is the wrong answer.
It's uncanny.
We could train a pigeon to do what you do.
And can't you just say, here's the next round?
Brilliant. Why didn't we think of that?
Not that you'd ever say that in a pub, obviously.
Paul and Michael, the pain of being chucked by your boyfriend.
I think it's about the woman whose boyfriend or husband built a catapult for her and said, get into this catapult and I'll fire you into a net that's 200 feet away. She said, all right then. And so they fired her into this net. She landed right in the middle of this net, which was, if it stopped there, was great. But in her exuberance, she bounced off the net, landed on the ground and broke her pelvis. And she said, I'll do it again tomorrow.
And we can actually see how it all happened.
Oh, blimey, have you got it? Oh, dear. Oh, no. be having a picnic under that.
Yes,
Dear, oh dear.
this is Stella Young, her name was, yes, and it was designed by her boyfriend. Do you know the key improvement that he suggested afterwards?
Get a bigger net.
Yes. And what's the contraption called?
It's a trebuchet.
It's a
isn't it?
trebuchet.
It's a medieval instrument of war.
And what did they use it for in the Middle Ages?
Well, they were brighter
Big
than
rocks.
us. They used it to throw
rocks.
stones, not people.
Why would they want to hurl stones into a giant net?
And they would also throw dead animals, in fact, over castle walls.
Yeah.
Why is that?
On landing,
Splatter.
they would splatter, yes,
And provide
disease
lunch.
would be rife. Yes.
How big were the animals? Sort of elephant size?
Well, elephants would be elephant size, yes.
Yeah.
Was a baby elephant size?
That would be the size of a baby elephant.
I'm going to write that down, that's worth knowing. See, I didn't go to Oxford, this is the stuff you learn.
Yes, this is another one of those tired old boy meets girl, boy fires girl out of giant catapult, girl breaks pelvis stories. Stella Young's boyfriend, Richard Wicks, immediately visited her in hospital, although he was asked to leave when he started fiddling with her traction device, saying, I reckon I could send you across the ward in this. Mr. Wicks told the Telegraph, I'm devastated by the accident, but we'll bounce back. Ian and Richard, your cryptic clue reads, Aitken's secret $4 million Swiss bank account. Any idea what that can refer to at all?
Yeah, he's got his money stashed away, and he still hasn't paid the Guardian, as far as I know.
Or any of his other creditors.
Or any of his other creditors. And it's the money's from a Saudi... Was it a Saudi prince or something?
It's from Prince Mohammed.
Mohammed.
Aitken said when they found this Swiss bank account, the liquidators or trustees in bankruptcy, they found all this money. And he said he didn't know it was there, which, given he's just been in jail for perjury, do you believe him?
Yes, how much money did he claim to have, in fact, when he declared himself bankrupt?
50p.
£40,000, in fact, he claimed.
But he didn't include the price of his house, and he got divorced rather suddenly, so his wife got a lot of the money. It's all a touch fishy, if you don't believe him.
And where is the wife now?
She's in Switzerland, probably quite near that. Though that's just a geographical coincidence, I am that.
And why hasn't the ex-wife returned to the UK?
Wouldn't she be arrested for perjury?
She might be. There's
She
some
might be.
suspicion over certain things that she said during the court case. Well, that is the suggestion, anyway, by the Evening Standard and one or two other papers, he said, covering his arse. And where...
Would you often cover your arse with the Evening Standard? Well, you are part budgie, aren't you?
Well, people know that, because they can't see below here. There must be some reason why we never show you below the waist, and it is because I am part budgie.
Made a hell of a mess of that chair, though, haven't you? I was going to read that Evening Standard after you.
Michael, you've bumped into Aitken over the years.
Literally bumped into Aitken, yes. Oh, I know, this is the bit where the film clip's coming up, isn't it? How did I guess?
No, we haven't got
I haven't got that. Oh, it's
No,
true.
but we have
yes.
got a photograph.
A photograph. There we are. Yes.
So talk us
He's so
through it.
sorry, it wasn't my fault. He said to me, no,
You haven't been catapulted from behind that tree.
you almost look like it. Yes.
Yes, it is the astonishing revelation that Jonathan Aitken has been less than straightforward with his financial affairs. When he first arrived at Belmarsh Prison, Jonathan Aitken was put on suicide watch. Sadly, despite being watched round the clock, he never did. Which, cock and bull, means at the end of this round it's Paul and Michael who are lying second, losing as they are 7-6. Round 3 is the real test of our panel's speed of thought and mental reactions, which is why it tends to take so long. Just one per team this week. Paul and Michael. Your international icons are Albert Einstein, Saddam Hussein, Christopher Robin and Oedipus.
Right, OK. Christopher Robin was the son, of course, of A.A. Milne, who wrote all the Winnie the Pooh books, and I believe that he was very unhappy that his dad had put him in the books as Christopher Robin, because then throughout the rest of his life people said, oh, are you the Christopher Robin that appears in the book? So he didn't like his dad very much. Oedipus is famous for liking his mum a bit too much. Saddam Hussein probably hated his dad, and Einstein's smoking his finger, so I think Oedipus is the odd one out. Because he's the one that liked his parents and the others didn't.
Is the wrong answer.
Is it because they all didn't like their parents, except Oedipus, who actually killed his father?
It's sort of...
That's what I said, apart from the killing the father.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, that's why I added it.
All right, then. OK, is Oedipus the odd one out because he's the only one that liked his parents, the only one's hated theirs, but he's the only one who killed his father while wearing a funny hat? You'll go.
Or in this case...
Is Albert Einstein the only one that's holding his moustache on a stick?
Got something to do with the soap you once advertised?
Imperial leather.
It was the other bit I was thinking of.
Oh, cousins. Cousins. It's about cousins. Well, I don't know. Saddam Hussein had a cousin who was very, very lovely.
They married their cousins. Albert Einstein married his cousin, A.A. Milne married his cousin, Saddam Hussein married his cousin...
And Oedipus
married his wife.
Married his wife? Filthy. Good God. The monster.
Yes, you're right. The answer is they've all married their cousins, except for Oedipus, who, of course, married his mother. Albert Einstein married his cousin in 1919 and had a somewhat dubious attitude towards the female of the species, once stating, "She is a creature I could kill in cold blood. I like to put a rope around her neck and tighten it until her tongue lolled out," adding in now a toast to the bridesmaids. Ian and Richard, your men of the moment are Kevin Keegan, Dennis Thatcher, Lord Hailsham, and Michael Brunson.
Ooh. If I was going down the road of alcohol, would I be going in the right direction?
It would be an outrageous slur on one of our guests. No.
If I went down the road of hemorrhoids...
That would be an even worse slur.
Is it mental illness?
Quite possibly.
It involves someone who isn't in the picture.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
You did this the other week.
Isn't that a bit difficult?
Is it
Which
Margaret,
is the odd one out?
Margaret
It's all to do with someone
is it
not
Margaret
there?
Thatcher?
Oh,
Margaret.
Yes, Margaret Thatcher.
Great
Kevin
friend
Keegan
of-
appeared at 10 Downing Street when she was Prime Minister, saying she's a marvellous woman doing a fantastic job.
He was the husband of...
And Michael was an independent, objective, conservative... reporter.
Here. Here.
You're in
Suffering neither a drink problem nor a hemorrhoid.
No.
Although the night is still young.
It involves something that Michael did to Margaret Thatcher.
I made her cry.
It's just true.
Ah.
Do you think you'd be able to contain yourself if you were to see it again?
What, the crying moment? Oh, go on then. Then you had to come out into Downing Street. And you had to face the cameras. In effect, you had to face the world. You had to come and make what was perhaps the statement of your life. And then I see that, we notice now that it's affecting you now, and it must have been
Yes,
the
it's not
most
affecting my voice now. It's not affecting my voice. You're thinking back to traumatic things.
Yes, I'll tell you
So
the
is
answer.
it the making the cry was the link?
That's the odd one out.
They all cried and then Michael made her cry.
No, it isn't to do with crying. The answer is that they've all kissed Margaret Thatcher, except for Michael, who made her cry, as we've established.
How do you know Michael hasn't kissed her? He might have.
I certainly have not. That is, let us get this on the record. I do not have a drink problem, I do not have hemorrhoids, and I have never, ever kissed Margaret Thatcher.
Right.
Quite often those three are links.
According to the Evening Standard, Michael Brunson has a temper. He throws wobblies when technical things go wrong. Nothing annoys him more. Is that true, Michael?
Oh, yes.
Sorry, we missed that, but never mind. And so to the bacchanalian delights of our final missing words round, a rampant display of half-cut headlines, including one or fewer from this week's guest publication, the almost imperceptibly interesting The Wallpaper. So get down and get with. www.what.com
Wallpaper.
is the right answer. Yes. Have you logged on?
No, I'm just naturally excited.
Next, Texas prisoner fails an attempt to what?
Sell his execution over the net. He was
Sell
going to be
ringside
killed.
seats, yeah.
Yes, that is the right answer. Sell tickets to his execution is the
very good.
extraordinary answer. And what did he want the money for?
Well, he was going to save up.
He was going to go on
holiday.
holiday.
Yes, almost as ridiculous. To fund his appeal was actually. Next, have I got what for you?
Wallpaper, news, booze, clues, do's, ruse, twos, sues, use, as in sheep. E-W-E-S.
Have I got noose for you? It's an execution in Texas.
Yeah, they're going to hang wallpaper.
Have I got moose for you? Actually the answer. This is a 13-year-old boy who's received a cow for every Christmas and birthday since he was born. So imagine his excitement as he unwraps it. Is it a CD? Is it a bike? Oh no, it's another cow. How lovely. Next, electric shoe can what?
Kick you up the arse 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So that you do more wallpaper.
Yeah, power mobile phones.
Can walk for you.
No, power mobile phones is in the right area. Recharge batteries, but that's what they're referring to.
Yeah.
And lastly, tomato modified to fight what?
Tyson.
To fight...
Disease.
Yes, what kind of disease, though?
Heart disease.
Heart disease is the right answer. Perfect. This is as a result of work done on genetically modified food at the University of London by one Dr. Bramley, the highly respected cooking apple. Which last-ditch efforts mean at the end of this final round, this week's Magdalen rejects are Paul and Michael with 10, while this week's Oxford scholars are Ian and Richard with 16. But before we leave you to enjoy the summer, the chilling prospect of our caption competition.
Is it Bishop injects helium into sheep via sharp stick?
Jump, you bastard.
And I leave you with news that after filling in during the Prime Minister's paternity leave, John Prescott asks for a rise. In Chelsea, Neil Hamilton denies that he will now do anything for money. And at a bank holiday parade, a married man eyes up the cheerleaders. Good night.
The news for you just keeps on coming here on G2. More from UK TV's Headline Act in just a moment. While over on People, a grisly crime gets cracked in Forensic Files. And on documentary, a good heart these days is hard to find for top cardio surgeons. In your life, in their hands. It's all to come next.